Welcome, welcome, welcome to the day number 3 of Get the Spark Back, even after years of distance. Today is the day 3. Here, you really want to learn how to feel confident, how to feel sexy, how to feel attractive in your own skin, and how can you actually melt the distance in your relationship. This training is for women who actually know that it's in their power to change that, to melt the distance, to bring their partner closer to them. I'm so happy that you're here, delighted to be here with you. Today is the kind of deepest training of the whole series because we're gonna look at how can you open your heart, how can you open your body to love, even if you have some resentment, even if you had past intimacy wounds. It's super important training because we might want to have connection and intimacy, but if we still carry that resentment and intimacy wounds in our bodies, then our body shut down and we can't really open our hearts to love. And then what happens in the relationship, then our partners, they don't come closer to us. Then that resentment, the distance still stays stuck in our relationships. And I know as a woman, you have so much power to shift that dynamic. So I'll just go to the slides. I've been doing this work for quite a while, for the last more like 15 years now. I was working with women and with couples on how to identify the negative relational pattern and how to bring more closeness, more connection, more intimacy that feels meaningful, intimacy that melts our hearts, intimacy that delights our souls, delights our spirit. This is our training number 3, how to open your body and heart to love. It's not about theory, but actually how do you do it in your physical body? Because even if when we know the truth, one connection, but if there is old hurts, then they freeze us. So today we're going to gently work with those intimacy wounds that keep us feeling disconnected. And at the same time, they keep us feeling safe. When we close down, it's safer. And where we've been, on Monday, we did training number 1. And we talked about why you feel so far apart and the first step to feeling connected. And we talked about that midlife, actually not the end of sexuality, not the end of passion in your relationship, but it's an invitation into a most liberated, turned on version of yourself. And then once you feel radiant, once you feel turned on, your partner won't be able to help himself. He'd want to be there with you. He'd want to adore you. He would want to feel close to you. So if you haven't watched training 1, please go back. There's a lot of information there. And then we did training number 2. We talked about the 7 myths that kill intimacy. I'll talk about just a couple of them here. And if you haven't seen the training, please go back. So we talked about one of the myths is that our partners are responsible for our pleasure. And the truth is that the pleasure is yours. When you own it, that's how you can change the relationship. When you choose to cultivate it, to explore it, to nurture it, that's what becomes so attractive. A woman who owns your pleasure is so attractive. Yeah, and it's not just for your partner, it's for you as well. And when you soften, when you open your heart, when you're full of pleasure, when you're full of joy, when you know how to ask for what you want, you become an invitation for love, and your partner just can't resist. He just wants to be there with you and give you that affection and love. Then we looked at another myth was that passion fades in long-term relationships and that sexual intimacy is not as important. And the truth is that you need to know how to deepen the connection and how to bring variety into your relationship, because desire doesn't disappear. Passion doesn't just disappear. But what fades is emotional closeness, the space to express yourself, and the safety to be fully seen. Once you know how to shift that, then there's so much passion. And then you can go from like, I'm not even sure if I love my partner, to actually, wow, this feels so amazing, we're again in love. And this feels so much deeper than when we were younger. I know that's what's possible. I see my couples go through that again and again and again. You might not believe it right now, but actually, once you open your heart, once you heal, once you know how to become an invitation for love, your partner can be right there with you. And another myth that we looked at is that it's hopeless because we've drifted too far apart. It's never too late. You can bring him closer. And you have to lead. You have to become an invitation. And once a woman starts to reconnecting with herself, she becomes that invitation for love. So these are just 3 myths. And we talked about 7 myths. So if you haven't watched this training, please after this training, go back and watch training number 2. You'll see it there. And on Monday, the next training, Sunday American time, Monday New Zealand time, we're going to talk about 5 steps to go from roommates to lovers. This is the training today, how to open your body and how to love. So how do we bring our sexual desire back so we can reignite that spark? Because we can't expect to reignite the spark, right? If we don't feel open, if we don't want intimacy, if we keep on pushing our partners away. So it's all about releasing intimacy wounds from your emotions, from your body, clearing away the resentment. Because even when you know, yeah, that I want intimacy, it doesn't automatically erase the wounds that keep you from really being open, being connected to your partner. And the resentment and blame are two of the most dangerous things in the relationship. Resentment and blame. That's what kills passion. That's what kills connection. So we can't expect to melt the distance if we still have resentment and blame. And I just want to hear if you listen to Faye, and this is what happens when we clear intimacy wounds, when we open our bodies and hearts to love, because then we're able to speak openly about what we need, what we want, without pushing others away. Because what happens often, if we have a lot of resentment and blame, the way we express ourselves from that hurtful place actually pushes our partners away rather than brings them closer. So then we start to feel whole, we start to feel beautiful again. So if you just listen to Faye, to inspire you, to actually listen to her, how she talks about finding her voice.
My sexuality had been very shut down, not being able to really express myself fully and not enjoying myself enough and doing what my partner wanted and not really feeling able to ask for what I wanted. That coming out of that is huge. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. The sense that this is what it's really like to be human, to be fully human, being more connected to myself, more connected to living authentically, both in myself and with others, more meaning. I've definitely made a clear choice not to continue with certain people and certain activities that are not aligned with this new sense of being more of who I am, more willingness to say what's going on with me where I wouldn't have done that before. Having relationships that are meaningful and real all the time rather than some of the time. I know I'm answering my needs for connection in a different way because I don't want inauthentic connection now. So I'm kind of inviting in more people and experiences that have this newness, real shift with people in my life. More that sense of wholeness, which I didn't have before doing this work. From the feet up, from the ground up, feeling my whole being as a sexual being, a totality rather than something just in one part of my body. Yes, more ease, more comfort, more relaxed joy.
Isn't it beautiful? That sense of wholeness, that my sexuality is not just in one part of my body, but actually it's part of me. My sexuality is connected to my heart. And that's when we become so attractive, irresistibly attractive. So that the question could be that women ask, yeah, if my sexuality is evolving and my pleasure is mine, why do I still feel blocked? And also, if I still care about my partner, how do I find my love and my passion for him? See if you're asking yourself these questions. The thing is, because your body is holding on to old stories, experiences, moments of rejections, moments of being unseen, unheard, unchosen, and these wounds don't just live in your mind, they live in your body. So just think about the last time when you pulled away from intimacy, not because you didn't want love, but because something in you hesitated. Maybe your body tensed up, maybe your mind starts spinning with excuses, or maybe you suddenly felt exhausted, irritated, or just disconnected from yourself, from your partner. And that's not random, that's the way your body remembers. And in those intimate moments, when we're so open, we start to remember those wounds. And that's how it happens. When we feel this deep intimacy, our wounds come to the surface. And we can't just push them away. And so that's how now your body protects you by closing down. And the thing is, knowing it is not enough because your head can understand here what's happening, but your body remembers it. And then the safety, when you really feel safe, that's what starts to open your body, your heart to love. Like we can understand why things changed, but we still freeze, we still avoid, we still go numb in the moment. The thing is, that's not a failure, that's protection. That's protection from those moments of rejection because we're so scared. What if it's gonna happen again? If we had some duty sex, I had to have sex, I should. That's really stores in our body when we push ourselves into having sex without actually desiring it, when we do it out of guilt to please our partners. Or maybe sometimes it happens too fast. Your body is not open yet, and you're already being penetrated, and then your body starts to shut down because we start to protect ourselves. Until the body feels safe, our desire, our passion is not going to come forward. So we're going to focus on safety first and then connection. I really thank you for being here, because your courage is already rewriting your story, being able to talk about this subject. And I've been really blown away by the comments, by the messages women are sending me, how watching this free training, they already feel so much shifting in themselves. They start to believe actually something else is possible for me. If you're here, right, for the third training, it means something. It means actually, yes, I want to shift things. And the truth is, our sexuality isn't just about desire. Our relationships isn't just about passion and desire. It's about trust as well, safety. We're only able to let go into pleasure without fear, without guilt, without self-judgment, when we feel safe, when we feel like I can trust myself, I can take care of myself, and I can trust my partner. And so let's talk about what actually are the intimacy wounds. And it's not just big traumas. That's what I want you to understand. It's the small and then not so small hurts. It's often the unspoken things, the duty to perform, to be sexual, the pressure, then maybe being too much, feeling like I'm too much, feeling like I'm not enough. It's also because in our society, there's so much body shaming, sexuality shaming, and then there's real sexualization of women. Can't say that word. And it actually really affects us when we start to feel like, from what we see in the media everywhere, we start to see ourselves as the sexual objects. And then we kind of compare ourselves, unconsciously we compare ourselves to all these beautiful images, and it doesn't match up. And then we start judging ourselves. So it's not just big traumas, right? Like maybe sexual abuse happened in your childhood, maybe when you were older. It's also that unspoken culture that we live in, that body shaming culture that sexualizes us, that makes us feel like I'm an object of someone's desire and I have to perform, I have to please them. That's how our body starts to protect and say no. That's how we start to shut down. And that's why love and pleasure might feel sometimes unsafe. Just feel into that. Is this true for you? That maybe you want intimacy, you want deep connection, you want passionate sex, but part of you is still bracing for the pain to happen. Yeah, just check out in your body, not in your head, because you might understand, yes, I want love, I want to open up, but actually, if you feel into your body, is this true for you? That maybe when your past lovers didn't fully meet you, your body started to shut down. Maybe you silenced your needs to keep the peace. And maybe you felt rejected, unseen, or ashamed for wanting more. And I'm sure all of us had moments of feeling rejected and unseen. Just check in. How is it in your body? How do you store all those rejections in your body? And maybe you had some traumatic sexual experiences in your past. So big or small, these experiences don't just fade away with time. They get stored in your body. And until you release them, they keep replaying in your relationships, keep you stuck in disconnection. And I work so much with couples, and I see how it repeats again and again and again. Even when we deeply love someone, those wounds come and they take over. Yeah, and we start believing them. And I just want to share with you this story, what actually happens when we clear those wounds from our bodies and emotions. And even if you had past sexual wounds, I really want you to hear to Nikki, because if you really listen to her, because she really talks about how she had past sexual trauma and she actually was able to release it, which means it's possible for you as well.
I'm really happy that we've been having intimacy again, because we were pretty much lacking for the beginning of the course. We didn't have intimacy for many months. I felt maybe my heart soften a little bit. Also wanting to practice being in my body intimacy as well. Feel that desire coming back. So there's more connection there than was there before. It is really big. I'm awakened more. More seeds have been planted for me. I understand now my own responsibility in it more clearly, as well as the way I've been asking for things from a very emotional place in a lot of my relationship, which I feel has caused a lot of disconnect. I feel it's a gift to understand that more clearly now. I do feel my heart open more. I feel my body open more. I feel my yoga practice change. I feel the way I navigate my communication change. So it's satisfying to do this work. It's not easy though. It's also honestly helped me process my sexual rape and my trauma. I could see any woman benefiting any stage of navigation in their relationships or with themselves. I feel this is the part of our world that we're missing, to be taught these things. Everything outside of our life stemming from here. Speaking more from my own experience of my trauma, I really don't think there are many places I ever felt in my life that I could come into, be safe in this way. And I would just say to another woman, it is a safe space and it is expansive and it is difficult, but they're worthy of that. I wouldn't say that it took away from the experience at all. I think it was just as powerful, even in the Zoom setting. Sometimes for people, this is a scary place to navigate. Maybe it's hard for us to get us up and get dressed and go and be somewhere. It is just easier to just turn the laptop off and show up, and it's accessible.
It just deeply touches me to hear Nikki's story. And if you had any traumas in the past, know that it's possible to clear that. It's possible to change your life experience. And as Nikki beautifully says, your yoga changed. Everything changes. How we are in our body changes. So it's not just about sex, huh? There's so much more in that. And so that's how our body protects us. And Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he's done this groundbreaking research. The body keeps the score, and he shows how trauma, especially emotional and relational wounds, they don't just exist in our memories, they actually live in our nervous system. And that's how our body protects. We go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, becoming friends. Women quite often go into the fawn state. We kind of know about fight, flight, and freeze, but we actually go into fawn state quite a bit. And that's when we start to please. That's when I don't want to have sex, but actually I'm going to do it to keep you happy. And that's all relates to safety. If I don't feel safe enough, then I'm actually not able to say no, even when I don't want to. And the more we go into sex and sexual intimacy without actually wanting, the more our body starts to shut down. It starts to protect ourselves. And the common signs are pulling away, going into your head, feeling irritable, feeling numb, maybe scanning for what's wrong. And the thing is, the biggest thing I'd love you to know is that you're not broken. It's actually your body is a very smart mechanism. It's protecting you. Because if we push ourselves, our body stops trusting us and starts to protect ourselves through either getting away or freezing or becoming very pleasing to others. And sometimes you might think, oh, why do I do this again? It doesn't feel good. How come I'm doing this again and again? Because it's in your unconscious. You can't think your way through it. And when we really understand this pattern, we can meet it. We can be there with love, with care. We can pause in the moment. We can soothe ourselves. We can soothe that fear. And then we can choose to do actually something different. That's how that roommate cycle happens. And it really sticks in our relationships. And I'm sure we all felt it. It's the more distance we start to feel emotionally, the more our body started to close down. And then the more sex start to feel like pressure, it feels empty. And then we pull away sexually. And then our partners feel like, oh, she's not there. And then they don't want to have open conversations with us, emotionally open conversations. That's how disconnection happens, and it becomes really difficult to find our way back into intimacy and love because both partners start to feel so lonely, so disconnected. They start to feel like you just don't care about me. But actually what's underneath of it, it's that the fear that's kept in our body, and we're trying to protect ourselves. And it's really sad when partners try to protect themselves from each other. This is the person I love, this is my person, and you actually feel like danger to me, and I'm protecting myself from you. And then I close my heart, and disconnection happens more and more. And it's really difficult to actually come out of that disconnection by yourself because it's in our unconscious. We need someone else there to help us out. So I wonder if you relate to that roommate cycle. What do you feel about it? And what happens every time you shut down your needs, to avoid conflict, your body learns that asking for what you want isn't safe. Every time you feel rejected or ashamed in intimacy, your nervous system remembers that vulnerability leads to pain, that it's not safe to open up. And every time you ignore your pleasure, because it feels selfish, it feels not so important, your body starts to adapt by numbing itself. And the truth is, these wounds don't just go away by themselves. If you don't actively heal them, these wounds, they stay there. And let's talk some numbers. Over 50% of women experience sexual shame or repression in their lifetime. And I actually think this number is way higher. That's what the research shows. It's the Journal of Sex Research. And between 38 to 48% of women over 40 report struggling with low desire. not because they don't want intimacy, but because they don't feel emotionally or physically open. And research also shows that emotional intimacy, body confidence, and self-permission to experience pleasure are key factors in opening to our desire. And also, many women internalize that pleasure is not a priority. We have to look after everyone else, and pleasure is selfish. And research shows that women are often socialized to focus on their partner's needs over their own. And there are studies of sexual scripts. They highlight how these beliefs often operate in the background. We're not aware of them. And we might think in our age, at this time, 2025, we're so open and we feel so confident, but actually those unconscious scripts are running us. And I know that it's possible to change them, but we can't do it by ourselves because it's so ingrained. We need each other to challenge these beliefs, to transform them. And that's why I just love working with groups of women. And I've done my master's research on the power of group work for female sexual empowerment, because I totally see how we can't just do it by ourselves. There is too much shame. There's too much guilt. It's too unconscious. And when we come together, that's when we can bring that unconscious into the light, into consciousness, and then we can really shift those beliefs. And this is just another story of a woman. It's just so beautiful how she says, what actually happens when you get out of the roommate cycle, when you heal those past intimacy wounds, how you can unlock that ecstatic energy flow in your body, and then you want to be close to your partner again. This is how you become irresistibly attractive. This is how you can really melt the distance into your relationship.
It's amazing. Fantastic. It really is this bubbling, and it's like you often describe that it comes from the earth and comes up through you and actually comes completely out of your body and out of fingers and hands and your laughter and just a general sense of being more relaxed in yourself. Before this course, I certainly felt very disconnected, very in my head, even while I teach Pilates and we're very talking about the body from a very physiological point of view. A completely different experience in this. This is an energy which just flows, and I never felt this beautiful sense of energy because I had so much trauma inside that I had no idea that was actually in my body. Yeah, I'd experienced trauma and I understood I'd experienced trauma, and I'd had so much counselling around that with so many people, which was continually just rehashing and making you relive that. And what I've found so beautiful about your course is that there's been none of that. There's been none of having to go back and relive those horrors, but we've just sat in sometimes difficult places, and you've just been there and just supported that, and we've acknowledged it. And different parts of me have had to talk with that pain, and I really can't express how that shifts the pain. Like, I'm still quite surprised how just doing that can create this shift in your body. It's just quite an undescribable way that these things can move. I had no idea that it was living inside my body. It felt like it was something, that I dealt with as a child, and that should be gone, and I'm an adult now, and that's how you rationalize. Now I really understand how these things can be inside you and you're holding them, and how such it can weigh you down and really make you feel you are just losing your sense of who you are. It is quite an amazing feeling to even acknowledge that that's happening, and then to be able to actually heal it with you and to do it online. And that's what I've found just so incredible. I was quite skeptical when I signed up to your course, that I felt I really needed the energy from other women and that I really draw from that energy. And I wasn't very convinced that the online sessions would give me that. And yet within our first session, that I sort of realized this course was completely different. Completely different. I mean, I've done other online courses. This is more soulful connection, which really feels the essence of actually who you are, not just that physical kind of being, which is this beautiful feeling of just being completely connected with myself. I think for so long there was such kind of this void inside because I couldn't let, well, there was pain in there, so it was like I was too vulnerable to go in. So there's almost like that feeling that if you shut some pain down, you also can't let some joy out as well. So everything was very contained. I was heavy all the time, and so I could feel everything else and could feel limbs and everything, but there was this very heaviness just within my entire, the core of me. And nourish the trauma, you're going to allow some love, or it can be water or whatever you're thinking about within the growth period, that's going to allow you to have this new growth. And so that's why it's not scary to lean into the trauma anymore, because I just need to soften it. And through the softening of it, it's strong. I just keep feeling this. Oh, it's like things are just getting stronger within me. It's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? Huh? And that's what becomes possible for us. Huh? And it's so beautiful how Patrina talks about it. We don't have to go back to the trauma again and again, but we need to find a way to release it. From my experience, we can only release it in a safe relationship. And that's why I love working with groups of women, because we can heal each other. And the piece is that it's not just about sex. I know for us as women, actually not sharing our love is the most painful experience. Of course, we want to receive love, but we have such giving, generous hearts. And when we protect ourselves, we don't fully give our love. It's actually it's waste of our love. And it's really painful experience for us. And I wonder, how do you relate to this? That your body holds the past, but it doesn't have to define your future. If you struggle with pleasure, it's not a personal failing, because your body doing is exactly what it's trying to do. Protect you. But protection isn't the same as freedom. When we protect ourselves, we can't be free in that. And so the same walls that keep you safe from pain, they also keep you separate from love, from connection, from deep pleasure. And so here is the most important thing. You don't have to stay trapped in these patterns. Healing is possible. Pleasure is possible. Trust in yourself is possible. I hope from the stories of the women, you can really get their experience. And my course is only 3 months, right? Only 3 months, that's where they went to. So you can do that. We need to release these old patterns. And then you can open up your body and heart to love. Then you can become irresistibly attractive. And you can do it by ourselves. You need the support. You need the relational healing. And right now, we do this practice where you're holding your body armor. And you can close your eyes right now, take a couple of deep breaths, and scan your body. Where are you holding tension in your body? Where does it feel tight, maybe numb, maybe closed off? Yeah. Your body is wise, so it has been protecting you. There's reason behind your body closing down. So the trick is not to push it away, to open up, but actually let's lean into that. If you breathe into that sense of contraction in your body, you might bring to mind recent intimacy experience when your body closed down, so you can start really feel it in your body. You just bring your memory and then you go into the body. How does it close down? Where does it close down? And just breathe into that place. Welcome that place rather than trying to push through. Welcoming it, saying hi to it. Maybe saying to yourself, I understand why you shut down. I understand why you tense up, because things happened in the past that really hurt you. We can't think our way through intimacy hurts. We have to feel them. And I know that we have to feel them in a supportive environment. And then get deep into our bones that it's safe to open up. That's what safe relationships give us. Being vulnerable is safe. Opening my heart is safe. And we can't think our way through that. Because first of all, you really need to learn how to keep yourself safe, how to keep good boundaries, how to open up, and then receive that feedback from other people that actually, oh, I'm safe here. And we'll go deeper into this in my course. But right now I want to show for you another practice, yeah? As you scanned your body, now if we can do the open heart breath technique. So that's a somatic practice to invite more love into your body. You can put one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And let's inhale slowly. And when you exhale, let some sound on the out breath. Ah. And again, inhale slowly. Ah. let your shoulders drop, soften your face, soften your jaw, soften your lips. We hold a lot in our jaw, soften your throat, soften your heart, soften your belly, soften your genitals. And just say to yourself, I'm here, I'm listening to you, you're safe here. You can even look around, open your eyes if you need to actually check it out, that actually right now I'm safe. Then maybe you want to gently touch your body. You can squeeze your arms, you can hold your face in your hands. Being gentle with yourself and feeling that safety inside your body. And then I invite you to open your arms so you can open your heart. Breathe into your heart. And with some sound, see if you can open your heart a bit more. Because when we hurt, we tend to close and constrict. Yes, so we're doing the opposite movement here. Opening our heart. And then slowly opening your eyes, coming back into here. Really repeating this practice a couple of times a day, at least once a day. It only takes a couple of minutes, and you can start shifting to openness on the somatic level. And so awareness is just the first step. And I've had wonderful experience here with you. I love to share this journey with you. And I see people doing the work. I see women's comments, realizations, and I see you waking up to the truth of your own love, of longing for the deeper connection. You're not settling for less than the deep, heart-melting connection. And I know that this is how our transformation begins, when we start to open to that longing. As you breathe into that longing, check in with your heart. If I could have anything I want as it relates to intimacy, to love, to sexuality, what do I actually really deeply want? And opening to that longing is the first step. That's what awakens us. Remember that your pleasure is yours. You're capable of feeling deeply connected, vibrantly alive. And I know that it does shift something inside of us when we can open to our longing, when we can start opening our heart to the possibility of deep love. You might not experience it right now. There could be a big distance in your relationship, but actually it's possible for you. See if you can really open up to that and notice what moves inside when you can open up to that possibility. And I know that awareness is the first step. You can watch these trainings, you can feel inspired, but actually without action, nothing changes. You can have these insights, but without practicing, your body will stay in the same old pattern. Practice is so important. And also we can't heal by ourselves because most of our hurts are relational. They happened in a relationship. So they can only heal in supportive, loving relationships. And I know we're independent women. We want to do everything by ourselves, or we feel ashamed. How can I even talk about sexuality, about my relationship with someone? But I know that this is exactly where my gift, my genius comes in. I create really safe and supportive environment for women to step into the beauty and power of their sexuality, to open their hearts to love, so they can release that hurt, that they can melt the distance in their relationship. And maybe you can finally see, those myths, the wounds, the barriers, but without support, it's easy to fall back into something familiar. And I really don't want to have that for you. That's what I do my work. That's why I love doing my work so much. And I've created a sexually empowered radiant woman method. And this method is exactly for women like you, women who are waking up to what's possible for me, waking up to the longing in my heart, to the deepest desire. But we need the structure. We need the guidance, we need the support, we need other women there with us to truly step into our power. We can't become ourselves by ourselves. That's what Claire Zemit, my teacher, says. And this is for women who are done waiting, done feeling disconnected, done wondering if I'll ever get that intimacy again. Just imagine, because I know that's what's possible for you. You can close your eyes and really imagine, how would that be for you? When you wake up in the morning, you stretch out in bed, and instead of feeling stiff, disconnected, or invisible, you feel radiant, you feel beautiful. You look at yourself in the mirror, and instead of avoiding your reflection, you see a woman who glows, who is truly radiant, because she is no longer waiting for permission to feel beautiful. No matter your age, shape, or size, that's totally irrelevant. And imagine feeling at home in your body, when you know how to say no, how to say yes, how to surrender to love. because we can't fully say yes if we can't say no. It comes together. Imagine that in the bedroom, you're not hoping to feel something. You know what lights you up. You're in tuning with your body. You're open. You're responsive. You're alive. Just imagine how would that be for you? And finally asking for actually what you want without guilt, without hesitation, without any fear. What's even better, you ask in a way that actually makes your partner respond to you. So you're receiving exactly what you ask for. And then you feel magnetic. You stopped waiting for someone else to make you feel wanted because you already own it. You know you're a desirable, beautiful woman. And I know that that's not fantasy. That's what happens to women. And you've heard some of the women. That's what happens to us when we say yes to our own pleasure. And this is what we're going to go in training number 4. I'll share with you the steps, how to become a sexually empowered, radiant woman. Like Sarah says, I never thought I could feel this way again, but now I walk differently. I take up space, and then my partner, he sees me in a whole new way. That's what I know is possible. It's in our power. We don't have to wait for our partners to give us the love and affection. We can become irresistibly attractive, that they just can't resist. They have to give us love and affection. They have to be with us. And I know that the real reason we stay stuck, it's like, can I really do this? Women ask, what if I try and nothing changes? And maybe, this sounds amazing, but I'll figure it out later. I'll do it on my own. And I really get it, because every time we stand on the edge of something new, of this new possibility, something expansive, something that asks us to fully step into our power, then the resistance shows up. And the resistance, it's not random, it's your body trying again to keep you safe. Safe, but disconnected. Protected, but not free. And I know that if intimacy feels unsatisfying right now, at least it's predictable. And even if you feel numb right now, at least you don't have to risk getting hurt again. We keep on protecting ourselves. We keep on staying in this stuck, dissatisfied space because it's safe. Safety is so important for us. So we need to learn how to source safety differently, because that safety is just an illusion, And if we don't do anything, it's like another year feeling nothing, feeling numb, feeling like something is missing in my life. Another year of having that longing, but not knowing how to get there. Another year feeling disconnected from the body, from pleasure, from radiance, and we're not getting any younger. And I can see how women sometimes come to me when they're 70, and they're like, I wish I did this before. But because we're so scared to step out of the safety, we keep on staying in that comfortable, unfulfilling, unsatisfied place. And we put our pleasure last, we put intimacy, we put love last on the priority list. And isn't this true, that your body is changing? That your relationships are shifting, time is passing by. And my invitation for you to decide, actually, I can do this. I can do this for me. You don't need to do it with me. You can do it with someone else. But start focusing on your pleasure, on the love, and feeling this is possible for me. I don't have to stop myself anymore. I don't have to put my happiness, my fulfillment on the back burner. Because one day, if you keep on doing that, you wake up and you realize that you've spent another 5, 10, 15 years waiting to feel alive again, and feeling the guilt, feeling the shame, feeling restricted in your own body, not feeling at home in your body. So I'm so happy you're here, because I know you're ready, ready to do something different. Ask yourself, do I stay in the familiar discomfort, or do I actually step into most radiant, tuned on magnetic self? Because I so know it's possible for you. And some women go like, well, what if I don't want sex anymore? And the thing is, many women convince themselves that we don't want sex anymore because it's easier than dealing with frustration, with disappointment, or feeling like there's something wrong with me. And I know that if deep down you didn't want sex anymore, you actually wouldn't be here. So it's actually time to become honest with ourselves. What does it mean for me to have fulfilling sexual intimacy? Do I want that? And if you're here, I'm sure you want that. There's a part in you that actually wants that. Also, some women are scared that what if I bring things up that I just don't want to face? And that's what I showed you, Patrina's story, that we actually don't have to rehearse the old trauma. But it's true that when we explore our pleasure, it can stir old wounds, past relationships, rejection, body shame, trauma. But ignoring them doesn't make them go away. We keep them in our body. And so you're in control here. You get to go at your own pace. And you don't have to dive into anything before you're ready, but it's important to do that. And some women say, I feel so disconnected from my body, from my partner, I don't even know where to begin. And the thing is, if you don't feel anything, no desire, no connection to your body, it can feel really impossible. Like, where do I even start? But the thing is, numbness, it's a protective layer. And I know that beneath it, the pleasure, the desire, the longing is still there. They're waiting for you to come back. And this process, it's about small, gentle steps where you start to feel safe. And the safer we feel, the more our body starts to open up. The other piece that I hear women often say, what if I change, but my partner doesn't? And of course, that's very real fear. What happens if you awaken and you start to feel so much pleasure in your body, but they stay exactly the same? They're not willing to give you any love. So the truth is, when you shift, everything shifts, because relationship is a system. If one part shifts, the whole system shifts. The way you show up, the way you communicate, the way you hold yourself, it affects everything around you. And most partners respond to that. They actually do respond to that. But the thing is, if they don't, then you don't have to stay stuck in that relationship. If they're not willing to meet you, once you shift, if they're not willing to meet you, that's not your party. And maybe then you can be honest with yourself. Actually, I can't be happy in this relationship. But the thing is, until you do this work, you can't really know if they're going to shift or not. You have to give them a chance. And the way we can give them a chance is to become an invitation for love, to open our hearts, our bodies to love, and then see are they responding or not. And that's so difficult quite often to do by ourselves. We need support. We need guidance. And the other piece that I hear, and this is such a sad part, that women tell to me, I've already accepted this part of my life. It's just over. And what if I start hoping again and get disappointed? And of course, it's scary to hope. It's scary to open our hearts to love. And again, we go back to that, I just want to be safe. And if you've tried to reconnect and it didn't work, of course you're scared, huh? But what if you allowed yourself to really believe that something new is possible? That's why I show you the stories of the women, that it's possible. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. Wouldn't you want to try again, or do you want to regret then? Oh, I wish I did that, and I didn't really experience the deep intimacy in my whole life. People regret not being brave enough to do things they wanted. And what I also know is that we are the first generation with the power to break this cycle of disconnection, of sexual shame, of women restricting themselves, putting their pleasure last, because our mothers, our grandmothers, they didn't have spaces like that, where women could speak openly about pleasure, desire, deep heart-melting intimacy, where we could shed the shame, reconnect our bodies, and claim our pleasure. So I know that every time you step into pleasure, you don't just change your own life, you actually affect a lot of people around you. Other women, our daughters. And that's how when I started my work, it was like the moment my daughter was born and I saw this tiny baby coming out of me, and I just was so in love with her. And I was like, I'm not going to pass on to her my past wounds. I have to do something about it. It has to be different now. And that's what really I know with my work. I've affected my family so much and other women in my life, because when we reconnect our desire, to our sensuality, to our joy, the world around us changes and people benefit so much from us. Yeah. So it's not just about you, huh? It's about all of us. And I wonder, are you ready to actually take this place and this revolution, this pleasure revolution, this openness, yeah, to love, become an invitation for love, huh? And I hope you do, huh? And so I really invite you to come to the training number 4, and it's on Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific or Monday, 12 p.m. New Zealand time. I'd love you to comment on our Facebook group under this video. If you can comment, what wounds are you ready to release? What wounds do you feel are affecting you? And please do spread the message. Invite your friends into this training. The replays are there on the page, so they can watch that as well. And I'll just share this last story with you, and a big, big warm hug.
It's never too late. It's never too late. I really did think it was too late for me. I guess a loss of libido, a loss of desire. For a long time, it gradually was trickling off. I lost my way. And breast cancer in 2016 was the icing on the cake. We weren't communicating fully, because it's hard to have those really hard conversations when you just don't want sex and your partner does. So I had a pattern that went for years, that sometimes if I didn't want sex, I'd give Ian sex just to keep the pot boiling and keep him in a better mood and, you know, for my own benefit. So it became a lonely place, and I guess there were too many nights where I'd sneak off and cry somewhere while I slept. But I didn't want to give up. I never ever wanted to give up. So I tried a lot of things. So probably within maybe 3 weeks of starting the first course, we started having deep and meaningful conversations, which went pretty hard at first. So whereas in the past those hard conversations would just fritter away and one of us would be hoping that they'd disappear, we basically learnt to communicate with honest, heartfelt. I just found a place, both of us, where we felt safe. We hadn't talked that openly decades.
Wow.
It was omission by just not saying things, or kind of putting on a happy face that it's okay when it wasn't. It was the fact that everyone was being raw and vulnerable, and we were in that safety container of women, which makes a big difference. So it was a great way of practicing that, saying things out loud, finding my voice, giving more things a go, being more open to trying different things. He's gotten more respectful and gentler and more patient as we've gone on, because he's understanding more where I'm coming from. And that's really only been this year. So I had to get to the place where I could really explain what I was feeling and how I was feeling it, and leaving my body. I don't do that anymore, ever. I stop before I get to that point. Just more comfortable with who I am, how I am. Sometimes it works beautifully and sometimes it doesn't. And all of that's okay. It's all part of the life we live. As someone who's almost 70 and whose husband is almost 80, there are definitely ageing challenges. Sometimes I hold Ian and he cries, and sometimes he holds me and I cry. And that wasn't even happening because we were both shutting down and not wanting to hurt the other one by bringing it up, or being careful about what we spoke about. Probably when I first came into the first group, it had been 8 months since we had sex. We're maybe only having a full session, going all the way, if you like, maybe once a month. But there's heaps of affection and play and snuggling and cuddling, because I've done so much stuff and spent so much money on all this. This is it. I'm going to make this work, this 10-week course, throw myself into it and do everything I can. And I've gotten to a place I'm really happy with, and we'll build on it and keep going. But so many times I think women think of all the other things they can spend their money on, that they should, that should thing, where you could spend money on the house or the kids or the grandkids, and we're worth it. We are so worth putting ourselves first in the line for once. A lot of us haven't done it while our families are growing up. It's a gift that I would recommend anyone give themselves. So do it. This one has worked for me beautifully.